Hello and welcome to the DJ Force 10 in Conversation podcast, episode 162, a DJ special today. I bring you DJ Random to the show, former DMC champ turned judge, DJ tutor, still obviously DJing, working with, in fact, just worked with Coldcut, which is amazing, which we do talk about in the podcast, but do go check out the new Coldcut album. It is absolutely fantastic. He's on the track Crystallize, which was also the B-side to their single release from it as well. And yeah, it's a great album. It's Coldcut. What more can I say on that front? But if you like your electronica, hip-hop kind of style stuff, go check it out. Honestly, it's great. Go back, check out all their stuff. It's all good. But yeah, just sort of thanking everyone, sort of catching up over the last couple of weeks. Took a bit of a stock of what was going on. I had to sort of step away from a few things, including doing my sort of podcast on a regular basis, which I was kind of going to do anyway, but I kind of fully stepped away from it, just purely because it was becoming a heightened concentration area when I had to sort of get back to work mode and things like that. So now that that's kind of like, I wouldn't say normalizing, but kind of getting on a steady rail, I'm able to sort of get back to this, and DJ Random was the first one I did back from the sort of mini hiatus that I was. But talking of hiatuses, I did bring back Crossing the Streams in the meantime as well, which is now back on Total Rock and The Mix in the US. They've had me back. So it's airing here on Sundays at 6 p.m. On Total Rock, and also if you're in the States and in my stateside friends, it airs on themix.fm 11 o'clock on Saturday nights. That's Eastern time as well. So something to look forward to there. If you guys are into the sort of mixy stuff that I do, then that is coming back, or that is back. But if you miss it for whatever reason, my Mixcloud will help you out in that situation. So the show I've got coming up, I've just had, was with Tasmin Taylor and Zavi. We did a back-to-back episode, and the next, or the current one, is with Dan Warsaw, and yeah, that's going to be on Total Rock on the what day is it today? It's Friday the 17th, so it's going to be on the 19th on Sunday, the first airing of it, and then next week it's going to be on the old US station, which is absolutely cracking. So looking to do a lot more sort of back-to-back episodes, because I'm finding them quite a lot of fun. So I hope you guys are enjoying them. If you haven't checked them out yet, do check them out. It's great to have like multiple DJs doing that kind of like alt rock mix type stuff, or I call it a bass and metal show. I think I've just simplified it down to that, which kind of gives me that ambiguity with it as well, with mashups and stuff like that. So that's all good. But yeah, apart from that, I just want to thank everyone for downloading, touching base during the time I was kind of like off air, if you will. It's been greatly appreciated on Twitter and whatnot. There are some nice things that can come from Twitter, thankfully. So that was one of them. But yeah, without much further ado, I bring you DJ Random, and yeah, enjoy. I'd like to welcome to my show today, I have DJ Random. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome to you, to my strange little world.
You're strange. How are you doing today, man?
I'm good, bearing up under this weirdness and strangeness. Today I should actually be at the Beat Herder Festival, which has been cancelled. So luckily I'm here to do this interview for you.
Yeah, no, that's all. Well, it's all. I say it's all good. I know it's not all good. I know where I'd rather be, but you know.
Yeah, tell me about it.
On that front,
but it's good. At least keeping busy, keeping in there.
Yeah, and we'll get onto some of those bits you've been keeping busy with as well. Because there's some really cool moments in there. So, but what I want to do first, because I'm running these DJ specials of my podcast. Because normally I'm interviewing like heavy metal musicians and whatnot. So I wanted to go into my sort of other passion, which is DJing, and all that. And I've obviously been asking DJs, including yourself, to come on. And basically, what I want to kind of go with is your sort of like your origin story. So, how you got into this sort of style of DJing, because it's predominantly scratch hip hop DJ. On that side. And I just want to kind of get your origin story on that and just sort of like go from there.
Well, I've been listening to hip hop since I was about 11, and my brother was a b-boy. I used to knock around with a lot of b-boys and graffiti writers, and one day was listening to, I think it was one of the Crucial Electros, and I heard Breaking in Space.
Ooh. Cool.
And I heard the scratching in that, and I was like, fucking hell, what is that noise? How can I do that? And I was obsessed with it. And then I kind of inherited like a garage turntable, quite a nice amp, rotary amp. And I just started messing around one day scratching. So I started scratching. I didn't have like 2 turntables. I didn't want to be a DJ. I just wanted to make that noise. Yeah. So I just you got to remember at that time there was no internet. It was very, very little to see on TV or in magazines. We kind of had to, just look out for like things like Beat Street. You'd see DJs on film, and I realised they were using 2 turntables, and then I realised they'd be using 2 turntables and 2 of the same record. And then to get some of the noises, they'd be using a crossfader on a mixer, and it was just like, do you know what? I'm dumping that fucking BMX, and I'm going to be a scratch DJ. So I was about 14 by the time I started learning to scratch.
Nice.
By the time we looked at, let's think, about 1986, I'd sussed out exactly what I had to do. So I had 2 like hi-fi turntables.
Yep.
And then I got my first realistic mixer. I think every fucking DJ on the planet at that time had one of them. It was the only budget mixer you get with a crossfader.
Yeah. So you had one from Tandy, isn't it?
Yeah. I've still got one indoors, fucking thing with that annoying click in the middle of the fader.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. I didn't even realise until about 2 years ago how to get rid of that. So, I never got rid of it in the end.
So, mate, I used to have one of those as well. I had the big, it was like a 4-channel one with 2 crossfaders.
I know, yeah. Green graphics on it, wasn't it?
Yeah, green graphics on it. It was like because my brother had a mobile DJ business, and I used to help him out when I was younger. And as I got more and more into DJing, I started wanting bits and bobs. So that was one of the first sort of mixers that I had. But I remember it very well with the old EQs on it, the 5-channel EQs. And
Tandy was a godsend to people like us that didn't really have the money or the access to disco shops. Everything we needed, we could get in cheap. I used to go to my local Tandy every week and just blatantly steal loads of cartridges, needles, and then it's canned air, WD-40, everything. It was. I loved that shop. It was great. Every Saturday morning, fill my pockets up, get out. It was great fun.
Yeah, and now they don't exist.
No, they don't. I was heartbroken when they went down. I was like, man, what am I going to do now? I have to start entering DJ competitions to win equipment because I couldn't be bothered to pay for it. So by the time I got to 86, 87. I'd got my first mixer. I could cut beats, I could cut breaks. I was starting to get work at parties, friends would have parties. I would turn up and DJ there. And then my first gig, I think, was a year I left school, 1987, with DJ Prone, funnily enough. And I played in Reading at the After Dark Club.
Oh, wow.
And all I did was, they said, I went in there, I was 16, wasn't even old enough to get in. I was absolutely terrified. There was a couple of other good DJs in there, and they said to me, right, off you go then. So all I did was go on and I just cut breaks. I distinctly remember cutting 2 copies of Hot Wheels, which is on the Gordon's War soundtrack. And the place just went absolutely crazy. People kicking tables over, bouncing off the walls. I was like, wow, man, fucking, this is great. At the end of the night, I got paid. I couldn't believe it. Got 50 quid in my hand. It was I said to Prone, I said, what's that for? He said, that's for DJing tonight. I said, what do you mean? He said, yeah, that's what you're getting paid. I was like, shit. So I was kind of chuffed. So from then on, I was doing quite a lot of parties, quite a lot of just turning up at people's places and playing. I was also going to London pretty much every week, digging for breaks, religiously. I would spend every penny I had just on breaks. The BMX had been binned, kind of stopped writing. It was just all about records. And then in about 88, I was given a residency at under 18s in Bracknell, which was at the Cellar Bar.
Yeah,
I think you've played there, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
Southall Park, yeah. And around about this point as well, I'd hooked up with a guy that just opened a record shop in my town called Time Warp. His name was Bill Shannon.
Yep.
And he became kind of somewhat of a mentor to me for breaks. He would regularly go to Chicago and all other places in the States and come back with crates and crates of breaks that I didn't even know the names of them. It was really difficult to find the names out. Everyone was keeping it quiet, and he would just pull out like boxes of records of these things that we'd only ever heard about or heard on tapes from, Zulu Nation parties or on Kiss. It was crazy. So he was kind of mentoring me, and I started getting up to speed. Then I got my residency, and then I really wanted to. I'd just seen the DMC championships. I think it was '87. I first saw on like cable TV or something. I was like, man, that's what I want to do. Nice. So in '88, I went to the World Championships, which was at the Albert Hall that year, and it was just fucking incredible to stand in that place and see like the best DJs in the world. It was just fucking mad. It's like Cash Money won it. It was kind of crazy to see that. Public Enemy were on stage. James Brown was on stage. It was just madness. And one thing I remember standing next to my boy, because we kind of had a DJ crew then. It was me, DJ Note, and DJ Chaos. He's called G now. And I looked at him and I said, oh man, some of these DJs are just shit. Like, he started laughing. I said, man, how the fucking hell do they get on this stage? I said, tell you what, this time next year, I'm going to be in this. Right? He was just like, yeah, all right then. So for the next few months, I kind of geared up to get in the competition, to enter the DMC competition. Yeah. And at that time, it weren't as easy as it was now. First of all, you had to be over 18. Yep. I was actually 17. You had to have a residency in a club, and you couldn't just enter yourself. The manager of the club where you had your residency had to enter you into that competition. So we came up with this really complicated system where I started doing this at under 18s. I had two guys running it, and they ended up saying, like, we'll be your managers. I was like, okay. So we invented the club night. They got the DMC form, filled it all in. Turns out I got accepted. And then luckily, the heat that came up that I was in, which was going to be, I think it was Swansea. So this is like January 1989, and it was a week after my 18th birthday. So I just cleared the legalities of it. And I'd also got my first set of 1210s a week before I entered DMC, so I had a week to get used to using them. I'd already worked on the routine. The routine was sorted. I just had to get used to using 1210, so I went to Swansea and won it. Got that jacket. Yeah, got the jacket. And then, it was just downhill from then on, really. It was a good time to be around because one of the reasons I entered Swansea is that there was no way I was going to enter London. You're going to end up against people like one of Cutmaster Swift, Pogo, Jay, or Business. And those boys, you really didn't want to be in a competition with them because you were just going to get laced. Do you know what I mean? You would get ripped to pieces. And when the first year I won at Swansea, you then had to go into, like, you win the heat. So I've got the jacket. I'm now a DMC champion. But then you have to go into a regional heat. All right, and it's the first and second places of that would then go into the UK final. So you're effectively doing, two competitions before you even get a sniff of being, on the UK stage. So I got to my my regional, which was at Chippenham, Gold Diggers, quite a famous old club. Yeah. And I walked in and there was DJ Business and DJJ. I was absolutely fucking heartbroken. I was just like, this is fucked, innit? I thought, just enjoy the experience. And there must have been, I don't know, 1,000 people, maybe more in there. I was absolutely terrified. And to watch Business and Jay, they were incredible. They took the 1-2. They were straight into the UK final. They were just... Man, I was watching them like, shit, I need to be like that. So, I came back from that, got further than I ever had wanted to go. I only wanted the coat. The only reason I entered that competition was for that coat. Yeah. I had to have one of those DMC Champions jackets. And then I spent the next year doing my residency, playing a lot in London, knocked around a lot with some of the people that ran Vivian Westwood's shop up on the King's Road. So a lot of their party people, there was a gang of us knocking around with them. So I was playing gigs for them, and I came back in 1990, went back to Wales again, won it again, got another jacket, got into my regional final again, and DJ Reckless was in there. I think where did he run? I think Southampton or something. And then me and him took the 1-2 on that.
Nice.
There was a very young Prime Cuts in that competition at that time. He came third, I believe. He was the only dude in that competition that scared me. And I didn't even realise till a few years back he was actually like a good year or two younger than me, and he was dope. And I watched him during the day, and I was like, yeah, that's the kid to watch. I didn't give a fuck about Reckless, but so me and Reckless took the 1-2, and then I was in my first UK finals in 1990. It was pretty amazing. The lineup to be with people like Pogo was a defending champion. Business was on after me. DJ Tricks, who was the current European champion, was before me. You had Sparrow, Fast T. Yeah, that lineup it was a good year for hip hop DJing, I think. So it was good to be a part of that. And then 91, I went back to try and get the third place. By this point, I'd 100% disappeared up my own arse. I was a right arrogant prick, do you know what I mean? I was horrible. And I had a bit of a nightmare in that, and I just sort of disappeared for a couple of years, did some alternative stuff, illegal parties, just dropped out to reassess and get my shit together, basically. It was, dark times. Yeah. But, I got through it, got my shit together, came back in 95. And then I was in the UK finals in 96 once again with Cutmaster Swift, Prime Cuts, Def K, who else was in there? JP. Yeah, that was another stellar UK lineup. It was a good one. And I've never looked back since then, really. I've been real busy since then.
That's really cool. I mean, like some of the names you're throwing out there. We had Cutmaster Swift on this podcast not long ago, and sort of like actually speaking to him was one of my big moments.
I tell you something, right? Johnny is the consummate gentleman, and he is a high-end geek, right? Him and Pogo used to be my heroes when I was 16, 17. I used to see him DJ. I see him DJ in Battersea Park. I've seen him DJ in the middle of Frimley because B-Boy I know got him up there. It's crazy. I see him on the Cookie Crew tour. And then in 1990, I kept saying to them, I want to enter the European Championships. They said, you can't enter it. You have to come first or second in your country to do it. And then about a month before the heat started, I had a phone call from John Saunderson, who was the general manager at DMC. He said, Random, how do you want to go to the European Championships? And I was like, what? He said, yeah, we're going to put you in as a wild card. He goes, are you up for it? I went, fucking yeah. So he said, I gave him more details. They booked all the flights and they sent me the itinerary. And he goes, I'm going to give you Pogo's number because you're going out there with him, right? And I was just like, what? I couldn't believe it. So he gave me his number. It took me about 2 days to phone him up, right? And, after that, me and Pogo got on really well. I got on really well with Cutmaster Swift and Business. And Pogo, Business, Swift ended up kind of being like my older brothers, from then right up till now. They taught me a lot. I used to, I wouldn't say they mentored me, but they definitely coached me through the finer parts of business and, more importantly, turntablism. They showed me a lot of stuff that no one had seen. I used to practice with them on occasion, or if I would go out with Pogo and he'd be in the bath and he'd say, oh yeah, Random, listen to this. And it'd be a tape of him and Swift practicing. No one's ever heard any of those tapes, I'll tell you that now, but trust me, there is stuff on those tapes that will just fuck people up even now. So, to end up going from, the out-of-town kid to knocking around with some of the biggest names in the business was a massive bonus. And like I said, Cutmaster Swift is the man. We've had him on the Full Clip show, Steel Devil's Full Clip show, a couple of times. And, he's still one of the only people where he starts his set and you've got 4 or 5 of us just in absolute silence for the entire set. That boy is naughty, and he's a real nice dude as well.
Yeah, that was the great thing about it, because I was like, it was a couple of years ago I went to, I've already regaled this tale on the other shows with them, but they did BPM, which was the DeeJay.
Oh, yeah. Was that the one where Birmingham? Yeah.
When it was in the big arena.
Yeah.
And they obviously DMC have a stand at these things, and Cutmaster's always there. It was him and DJ Rasp. They were doing like a, I
like Rasp. I know Rasp well. I get on with him.
And they were doing like a Q&A type thing, and a little like weird dome thing with it. And they like invited people up onto the turntables, and I just randomly stuck my hand up. I hadn't like touched a turntable at that point in about 7 years. And got up there and just started like cutting with them and stuff, and it was just like one of those moments where I'm definitely getting back into this.
And if you're gonna need inspiration, there's your inspiration right there, to be cutting with a world champion, a UK Supremacy champion as well. Man, it ain't gonna get much better than like that to get a foot up your ass, is it?
No, I mean totally that. I mean, I dug out my, like, at that point, because I just moved back to England, and I dug out my Technics. I've got a set of Technics sat right next to me right now, and I hadn't looked back since then. I mean, I just sort of like started breaking out my old records, and it was just from that inspiration, from chatting to them even afterwards, and just having a chat about it. And it's like, I just just get back into it, and really like supportive. Because it was like, I was like, I feel a bit too old. He goes, you're never too old, mate. Just do it. I mean, look at us, rasp, like grey hair.
Look at Johnny. Johnny's 157.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to kill me for that. But he cut, when I watch him cut now, this year is the 10th anniversary of the Still Devils Full Clip show. So I'd roped in loads of people for guests every show. And Johnny was going to be one of the third or fourth. And then all this fucking Corona shit happened, and we couldn't do it. But when you watch him cut, he cuts like an 18-year-old. He's as fast as he ever has been. He's got some real naughty patterns. It's an honour to be able to just to know people like them, let alone cut with them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that was the great thing, because obviously DMC had their like stand, and he was sat there on a set of turntables at the stand. And it's just like me just standing there watching him like some kind of fanboy. And
we do that, man, don't we? We do that.
No, I'm glad.
That's in my house.
I was going to say, I'm glad I'm not the only one. I was just, but it's just one of those special moments, because I've always watched him on the old DMC videos. I've got like the Summit. I've got like stuff all on video. DVD, all bought from Dance 2, actually, Dance 2. Like back in the day when it was next to Bose. And, I've still got those videos. I've still got those DVDs, from back then.
Yeah, keep them.
No, I'm going to.
History.
Exactly.
They're history, important history as well.
And just like having like watching someone I used to watch on those, watching like still like flex like he used to. So he's a demon. He's a fucking demon. Trust me. Just pulling off those moves he used to do, with his arms everywhere, backwards, turn, whatever he was doing. Obviously, like when I spoke to him, it was like he started as a b-boy, so a lot of those moves obviously came from that. So, but no, it was just amazing to watch, because like as with a lot of things, like as you get older, some of those sort of like people from the past don't perform as much as they used to, or don't perform like as they used to. They kind of adapt. And, but it was
one thing about all of that they've always kept their hand in, right? They practice a lot. They won't let anyone get on top of them. And if you're going to be a turntablist, especially when you're doing battles, one thing you need to be doing is just keeping your shit in. Do you know what I mean? Making sure that, anyone comes near you, you've got enough to be able to turn around and say, fuck off.
No, exactly. Because you don't want to be the one, I beat, whatever in a battle. Some new kid coming in. But no, it's a very competitive field. Because like back when I was younger, I was sort of drifting in and out of that sort of like competition side of things, and I didn't stick with the competition. I ended up joining a metal band as a scratch DJ, and it kind of like took over. But it was a very competitive thing, and like going to sort of like into some of those heats and stuff. I think I did one down in Brighton, and it was just like all these DJs watching you, and it's quite intimidating.
I treated that shit like warfare. You know, I even had, like, you get during the day, I don't know if you remember this, you'd have a time to sound check, right? They give you 2 minutes to sound check, right? And the first year I was there, before I even went there, right, this is like 1989, I thought, right, I'm going to invent a routine that looks like I'm sound checking, but I'm not, right? So one half of my brain is actually sound checking. The other half is performing, because I wanted to make sure that I shook everyone up before that competition even fucking started. And I did that through the entire competition. I never told anyone about that. I do now because I'm too old to do it. But I was like, I had sound check routines where it looks like I'm sound checking, but I ain't. I'm actually just saying, this is what you boys are dealing with today.
And if that's what you're sound checking with as well, that's the thing. It's never.
Yeah, no. When you start pulling the big guns out, that's when you start seeing people's faces just drop.
Yeah. If that's what you're warming up with, oh my God.
That's warfare, yeah.
Yeah, no, because I went down there like solo. I didn't know anyone in Brighton. I didn't really know anyone in the scene, to be honest. It was just a kind of like thing. So I was DJing. I had a residency actually at Bose. And I had, what was the other place I used to go? It was another place in, I think, Guildford. I can't remember the name of it though, but
I probably played there. I would have thought.
Yeah, no, it's I still DJ in Guildford now, so like I do,
wicked, yeah.
I do Players, and actually I do the Star as well. The back room at the Star, so it's,
I know Star, yeah,
and it's like you say, back then you had to be sort of like nominated and all that kind of stuff. So they put me in because I was sort of like doing stuff on various nights and just sort of showing off, and like, oh, go on then, we'll do that. We got this thing through. I was like, okay, cool, and I just didn't really enjoy it. Like it was just one of those things. I mean, I didn't get through, obviously, but I like, as far as that sort of like side of it goes, the battle side of it, I'm always kind of like, is it something I want to do? I don't know,
But the thing is, you've tested it, you've put your toes in the water. That's always a good. Yeah,
there's never that sort of like, I've always been an advocate of, it wasn't regret doing it, but I'd rather regret doing it than not. You know what I mean? So it's just sort of like, it's like, I take that into my life. I moved to America for like 5 years, and that was kind of a spur of the moment thing as well. It was just like, let's do it. Okay, let's do it. Let's up the family and go. But we came back, so, and, it's just stuff like that. And I mean, I always like, whenever I watch you guys like perform and stuff, I'm always in awe of like, just, obviously I know the competitive side of it, but keeping up with it all, because obviously, as with everything, like I was,
as it's exploded, right? It kind of nearly becomes a full-time job just keeping up, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I've had to take a lot of a step back now. Another thing that I will do that for is because I want to maintain my own style. It's really easy to just start thinking I need to learn to do that and do that, and it's like, man, do I really need to learn to do that? No, I don't, because that ain't me. I always keep my hand in. I practice as much as I can, but I try to develop and sit back on my own style now. But you're trying to keep up with stuff. I mean, especially when there was like the renaissance in turntablism. So you're looking at between like 95 and about 2003, 2004. Yeah. It was hard work. It was really hard work, and I mean, as myself, DeeJay Random, and also with the Steel Devils, we all done really well at that time, really well. Especially we done the DMC Team Championships in '99 and 2000, and me and Jazz T were, we were really busy for 5 or 6 years after that, just flat out. We were doing shows like Plaza, which I think was what BPM ended up morphing into. We did Plaza every year, and at that, that was crazy. DJ Day on a Sunday. You'd have the world's finest there, and your brain would just be saturated with scratch patterns and videos, and it's hard work to keep up. And now when the internet has come into its own, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. But the problem is with that is, I think, especially with competitions in the last 5 to 6 years, you've got a lot of DJs just playing catch up. There's not a massive amount of originality coming out. People are just taking a certain technique or a certain scratch pattern and saying, I can do this as well. And I've never been about that. I'll always try and advance it or push it further or come out with something. When people say, I don't get it, I'm kind of happy, because 10 years down the line, they will get it. Yeah. Because it was so far advanced at the time that, it went above people's heads. Cutmaster Swift is really like that. The stuff that he has done and does that people don't get, because they don't understand what he's doing. His technicality is, second to none. As a pioneer in turntablists, he is force de jure. Do you know what I mean? He is, even to this day, I would put him up there, full stop.
Yeah, no,
there ain't many people in this scene that have had the balls to go over to New York and enter the new music seminar competition and take on the Yanks. Him and Pogo done it 2 or 3 years in a row, I think.
Yeah.
Fair play.
Definitely. Definitely. It's that is one thing I've noticed. I mean, especially during lockdown, a lot of there's a lot of people live streaming. I'm guilty of that as well in some respects. But it does expose certain things. I've found. I've I'm not going to badmouth anyone. I'm not going to name names, but I've seen sort of fake scratch videos, if you will.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I've seen fake mix videos as well, to be honest. And
there's
just stuff like that.
there.
And it's just kind of like, what's the point if we've got this opportunity now where we are in lockdown, whether we like it or not, why not actually do what you say you can do, or why not actually learn it? Because you can go away for a couple of months and come back. It's not going to make any difference. I don't think anyone's going to get popular over this time.
Nah, this is like, I think for the entertainment industry, it's a massive reset coming.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been slightly disadvantaged. As soon as lockdown kicked in, I was without a set of turntables for 3 months. So I had a lot of time to sit back and think, and it's only within the last month to 5 weeks that I've been catching up on the backlog of stuff that I do for people. I mean, I don't know if you've seen a lot of the promo videos I do for people's singles, like 45s and that.
Yes.
I had a backlog of that, so I'm just catching up with stuff with that. And then the Coldcut thing come out as well, so I had to, step up for that. But yeah, I mean, sometimes a break is good. It allows you to kick back and reassess and let those people play themselves out, let those people put their fake videos up, because I guarantee this time next year, they ain't going to be fucking around at all.
No, I mean, that's
exposed.
Kind of, that's kind of how I look at it. It's like, let them have that now, because I like I say, I dabbled in the live side of things, like doing live videos from my garage and all that kind of stuff. And I did a couple, but I just don't get the buzz from it that I do, like in a club or
I've never done a live stream, and I probably won't, because a lot of the thing about like my live sets that I do, they're glorified practice sessions, and I like people to sit there and have a piece of that as well.
Yeah.
If you truly want to see what I do, I know it sounds a bit mercenary, you book me, and then you get the full shebang.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to sit there and give everything away I do on a live stream or a Mixcloud set. It's just not what I do.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, once you've given everything away, when someone comes to book you, you ain't got nothing to fall back on. Everyone's heard it, everyone's seen it. Yeah. So I always keep a little bit back for live performances, because if someone's paying me, then I have to go that extra distance. I have to earn that money, not just do what I done last week on some bullshit 2-hour live stream that had 3 listeners and just got cut off halfway through, and I couldn't even be bothered to plug it into my phone.
Yeah, and you get the old Warner label come up and say, "Hang on, you're playing our shit."
Yeah, fuck that shit. I was bad enough getting interrupted for a request, let alone getting interrupted by a fucking multinational company whinging about their fucking copyright. Fuck off.
Exactly that. No, I don't want to disrespect it, because a couple of my friends have done it, and they're doing it on a regular basis, which is fine. But I don't see the value in free. When it comes to that, when I did my ones, it was just sort of like a bunch of bootlegs and stuff that I never normally get a chance to play. But it was just, it was I just couldn't keep that going, and I ended up doing podcasting instead, which I had anyway, but I sort of intensified it.
It seems to be going really well. You've had some really good people on there. I can't wait to check out Swift's one.
Yeah,
Swift's
will do. It's been getting a good reaction from that, because it is like an autobiography and a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is as well, he's been around for so long that it's just a wealth of experience history.
Yeah.
And he's also someone as well that a lot of people probably won't know this, but since day one, he's been video recording virtually his entire life, like every DMC competition, all the backstage shit, the new music seminar, stuff like that, stuff that people talk about but were never there or never got to see it. Johnny's got the lot. One day if he ever releases his archives, man, there is just fucking years of stuff there.
Yeah.
Real good stuff, history making stuff, and fair play to him. If you're going to get an archive from someone, it has to be him.
Yeah, I mean, he had the foresight to record it. That's the thing. A lot of our stuff that we do early on, we're like, oh, you're lucky if someone turned up with a video camera to your gig.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still tracking down footage. I tracked down some footage from when I was at the DMC heat in Wales in '91. Someone just popped up out of the blue this time last year and said, "I've got the DVD." And I mean, it's not the best quality, but I will be ripping that soon and putting that up. But I was just like, I've spent nearly 30 years looking for that footage, and I've got it. And then someone else gave me the footage from 1990, which is up on my YouTube channel. I couldn't believe I'd actually got it. And they'd also got, at the time, I had 2 rappers. I had a full stage show. I had 2 rappers, 3 dancers. And we went down in 1990. We got asked after I'd won the competition. Do you guys want to do a PA? We were like, yeah, all right. These guys had filmed that as well. And, that night we got approached by Bob Masters, who worked for Sleeping Bag, who was one of the judges, and said, I'd like a demo tape out of you guys. So we got really excited, and then Sleeping Bag Records fucking folded about 2 weeks after. I was gutted. Yeah. Fucking heartbroken. Yeah. But, footage like that is just... Especially for me, because I didn't, never had a camera with these things. I didn't have a video recorder. For people to suddenly turn up and get it, it is a moment in history, and people can sit and say, "Oh yeah, weren't all that?" And it's like, man, it's 30 years ago. What the fuck were you doing 30 years ago? You didn't even know what your dick was for. Fuck off. Fucking people.
Amazing. So you've mentioned your DJ team, the Steel Devils.
Yeah.
I know Jazz for many years. He's been a sort of like, I say, a guru in as much as always guiding me to like.
He's like my anchor in the Steel Devils. He is everything I need to know. End up stressing about. He's always got the answer for it. He's definitely the man.
Definitely, he's made a lot of money from me. I'm not going to lie.
You and me both, I think.
And I've bought, every time I go in there, I can't leave that place without buying something. So
same as every time I'm in there, I'll try and buy something.
But no, I was just like curious on because I've never done this sort of like the team thing. Obviously, I've watched it. I've seen. I've watched videos of Executioners, Invisible Scratch Pickles. I can't remember any of the others. I've watched these like team. How is that for you guys? What's the kind of like mentality? Because it's sort of like when I talk to people or when I've seen like videos, they say it's much like a band, but yeah,
it does. Well, I mean, the thing is, when I first started to come through, I kind of had a DJ crew. When I was doing my residency, so this is going back to like 88.
Yeah,
we would have 4 decks, and my mate DJG, he would cut up breaks, I would scratch over the top, and then we'd swap. So, I really liked that. I thought there was something special about that. And then over the years, it never really happened. I'd do it with a couple of people, but it never really became a thing until like sort of, like I said about this Renaissance thing that happened about sort of 95-ish. And then by 97, the Scratch Pickles videos had come out, the Executioners were a thing, the Beat Junkies were a thing, and I was like, I want to get back to this DJ crew thing. So a guy had been knocking around with me since he was a kid, DJ Chud. I sounded him out about it, and I met Giallo Point, who was called DJ Dixie at the time. A friend of just chance meeting when I was at work with someone said, "You need to meet my mate." So I brought him round and had a cut with him, and he was dope. I was like, okay, so I'm kind of building the team. And then we done when there was a company called Turntablist World, or Scratchy K started up.
Yep.
And he done like a local night near Bracknell, and Jazz T came down. Now, I hadn't seen Jazz T since about 1990. We used to battle quite a lot. I would come over to Guildford. We'd always be battling. He was like my nemesis, do you know what I mean? And then I was like, shit, you're still doing it? He was like, yeah, you're still doing it. I was like, yeah. I said, why don't you come around my house one night for a cut? He's like, yeah, all right. So he's come round, and I said, right. I said, I want to make a DJ team. And we all introduced each other. So we've got 4 people at this point. And then the DMC said in 99 we got a DMC Teams competition, which they kind of tried in 95, or actually a bit earlier, I think, 92, 93 or something. And they never really took off. So, we entered in 99, got our shit together. And that was a fucking incredible competition. You had the Scratch Perverts for their first outing, the Enforcers, which was Pogo Business, and Cutmaster Swift. So, it was fucking madness. But it doesn't work like a band. And I tried to gear it to work like a band. So, one of us would be the drummer. Other guys would do the vocals. And, throughout that 6 minutes, we could swap around and, just make it so it looks like DJs, but it isn't DJs. So my whole thing with like DJ teams was to try and make it like a cut and paste thing, but a little bit more technical. So rather than just each person cutting a record, you would have someone beat chopping, and someone cutting over the top, and then one of us doing a bass line. So that for me, and we kind of stuck to that formula. And it is like being in a band. I've played in several bands. I've played in a heavy metal band as well, which was, I'm sure it's given me tinnitus.
Yes.
I played in a funk band as well. Don Piranha, we were quite big, sort of around Surrey and into London from about, let's think, 2000-ish into about 2009. So
Nice.
as a scratch DJ playing in a band, there is no finer education on this planet on how to understand music than when you're playing with proper musicians, right? And I was really like, whenever I speak to musicians, they can do that. Oh, yeah, you're a DJ, and they think, like, you just play Beatles records, and I'd be like, man, you need to fuck off. I do shit differently. Yeah. So I went to the first rehearsal with Don Piranha. I was fucking terrified, and it worked really well. Literally the next night, went up to Band on the Wall in Manchester, which is quite a big venue, and we smashed that fucking place out of the water. And I spent the next 7 or 8 years with them, and it was a massive, massive education. When you come back from, say, playing a summer's worth of gigs with some real tight musicians at quite big events like festivals and real good clubs with real good people, when you come back just to scratch over records, or you have got something there that all those other DJs haven't got, because a lot of them, they don't understand music. All they understand is a 4/4 beat, scratch over the top for 16 bars, and after that they're lost. Whereas you'll know yourself, when you play with a band, you can't be doing that shit. You have to let your patterns breathe. They have to have space for other people. You have to consider other instruments. There's so many other things that you have to think of, rather than that drum machine beat you've got on the other turntable. That it's, I think it puts you head and shoulders above any other DJ. Yeah. If anyone out there is listening and you want to be a proper turntablist or a scratch DJ, get yourself in a fucking band or go and rehearse with musicians, because that shit teaches you some next level skills. End of.
No, totally. And the same sort of time frame as you in that band. I was in that metal band, playing out of Surrey as well.
Probably on the same gig circuit then, I would have thought.
Most likely, I do recognise the name, so we may have. I don't know if we've played in the same festival or same
Could well have done. I'll be honest, a lot of those times have got hazy as well.
Yes, it's a hazy time for me too. So, but I definitely recognise the name, because obviously out of this sort of area, I was based over in Farnham for the first part of of all that.
Funny enough, I've done a couple of parties over there, and with the band, we've done the the Arts University there? Yeah, done a couple of real big gigs there as well. So you may have well have been on the same, or even in the same venue. I would have thought.
No, definitely, and you're right about the sort of what it can teach you, because it's like, as much as scratching over a sort of just a general beat, and then you've got these living, breathing drum machine in the musician. And it's just one of those things where it's something you can't teach, because you do have to make considerations for the guitars, vocals, especially in the metal band. It's you can make a lot of noise, but it's got to be structured noise.
I mean, it isn't just fucking playing 180 BPMs worth of fresh guitar. It isn't. It's just different to say, but it's different. That's all. It doesn't make it any better or worse. It's just different. But you do have to have those same considerations, that you've got 4, 5, 6 people in the band, and you all need to work together to get that to work. Regardless of what genre it is.
No, exactly. Exactly that. And you're right. I mean, it will teach a lot of DJs. At least how music works. Learn how music works.
Yeah, for Christ's sake, please. There are not 18 bars. Just scratching for 18 bars and losing 6 is just not the fucking thing at all. Starting on the 3 beat rather than the 1 or the 2 is still not a good thing. It just makes me feel angry and sick. Fucking people. Check me out. I can do an auto-bar. Yeah, he just started it at bar break for a bar, mate. Fuck off. Get it on point or fuck off.
Yeah. So can we just talk about your style of DJing as well, the way you have your deck set up? Because you have it kind of an unorthodox style, I think they call it.
Philly battle style. Isn't
Philly battle style, that's the name of it. I was trying to think of the name of it, and I couldn't remember what it was. But what was the sort of obviously, is that how you learned to do it, or did you have
I got before I had a mixer, I managed to work out I'd need to have 2 turntables, so I got 2 hi-fi turntables the same. Yeah. And all the faders were on the left, right? And now I'm right-handed,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know how the fuck it happened, but I ended up using my left hand for fader business. So when I got my first mixer, it just felt natural for me to just put the decks on the side. Because I thought, it's quick, it's quicker.
Yeah.
I ain't got to worry about changing the way I use my hand, and I've been like that ever since. I can rock it with a mixer in the middle. I can't juggle as tightly, but if I have to do it, I will. It doesn't bother me, but for preference, it's always going to be set up like that because it's just the way I do it. There are advantages to it, but there are lots of disadvantages to it, beat juggling especially.
Yeah.
But fuck anyone else. I'll give anyone a run for their fucking money. Do you know what I mean? I don't care.
No, I mean, because I looked at that style and it's sort of like it would play towards, say, my strengths when it comes to that sort of style of DJing. Because I'm like, I'm right-handed and left hand is mainly faders. Yeah. And I stuck that way because when I was in that band, it was one turntable, a mixer, and a sampler. And I just had the one turntable, and I was scratching away on that. So I'm just like muscle memory is constantly that. But I've deliberately tried to like have the mixer in the middle and like since sort of like taking it back up again, and just sort of having it that way. But I was whenever I watch your videos, I'm like that would probably play so well to advantage. And I've just never changed it.
Like I said, there's advantages and disadvantages. But I mean, maybe try it one day, see what you think. At the end of the day, I mean, I got into a thing with Rob Swift about this, saying that, if you can't use both hands or, you're not using both turntables the same, you're not a turntablist. And I just, I took umbrage at that. Basically told him to fuck off. It's just a crock of shit. So I said to him, so Primo, he's not a turntablist or a scratch DeeJay Chief. Grandwoods Rasheen, all those Philly cats, all those people are just written off. No, man, that's bollocks, right? If you can cut within the parameters of being a turntablist and you're not just some, whack hip-hop DJ, no, it don't matter how you got your deck set up. Or, I can use both hands. I choose not to. There's a fucking difference there.
Yeah.
It's not can't, I choose not to. If I wanted to use my left hand and my right hand switched, I would. But this is the way I like to do it. This is my style. This is how I'm going to do it. I don't need someone telling me I'm wrong. Fuck off. I don't give a shit.
No, fair play. Cool. So let's bring it up to, because we mentioned it earlier, what you've been up to during the lockdown, and one of the big things was the Coldcut EP. And you worked on the track Crystallize.
That's right, yeah. It was about 18 months ago. I've been talking to Coldcut on and off. I've been like heroes of mine since I was a kid. And he approached me about 18 months ago and said, would you like to do some scratching for a project we're working on? And I was just like, fucking hell. I was like, yeah, all right then. So he gave me his phone number, like Jonathan Moore, and I had to get real drunk before I phoned him up. I was absolutely terrified, made an absolute prick of myself. Oh, hello, you're really amazing. Blah, blah. I was just like kicking myself. But anyway, we've got the details sorted out. He sent me the stems, I've done the cuts, and I had to keep my mouth shut for about 18 months. That was real hard work. It was only close friends I told about it.
Yeah.
And then the machine started ramping up. About 6 weeks back, they released the first single, which was Future Toy Toy on the A side, and a hip hop mix of Crystallize on the B side. And my cuts are on now. I couldn't fucking believe it. And then they sent me the album about 3 weeks before the release date, so I could hear the proper LP version of Crystallize. And I was just stunned what they'd done with it. It sounded amazing. And the entire album is just, a beautiful piece of work, considering how it was made, the difficulty in having to go to South Africa, how it was recorded. And it's a fucking massively beautiful piece of work. Really, really proud to have been a part of it. It's just like one of those things you felt, bucket list done. Yeah.
No, definitely. It's a great album. I mean, like when I messaged you last week, I went, but it was on my list and it came up not long after that, actually. And I've had it on pretty much repeat, along with a couple of other albums. But
oh man, I haven't got bored of it yet. I'm going to do some more videos when I'm back in the turntable room next week. The beats are just incredible. Tony Allen drumming on there, for fuck's sake. Yeah. Incredible.
No, it's amazing, and I implore anyone to go out and listen to it. I'm actually going to
100%.
I am actually going to physically buy it because it's because I've had it on so much. I'm like, this is an album I can own. and I know it will get played. So
good. And it's got a lovely picture of me on the inside cover, and it's got my name on the inside of the record as well, which is quite amusing. It's probably the stupidest picture I think I've ever sent anyone. And when I saw it in the New York Times the day it come out, I was just like, fucking, I didn't really think about that picture, did I? But I do stand out on the cover, and if you want to make sure you're noticed, then do a stupid picture. Basically,
that's exactly what you got to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, where are you sort of going from here? Obviously, we are still kind of like limited in what DJs can do right now, in as much as like clubs and whatnot. But what sort of plans do you have kind of tentatively set for the rest of this year, if you have any at all? DJ.
Well, I've took a booking, unbelievably, for a jazz festival in Russia at the end of August, but I'm fairly convinced that the way things are going to go, it's not going to happen. I'm not. I mean, my last gig was end of February for DeeJay One of a Kind, who was another one of the Steel Devils, for his birthday party, and there was me, Jazz T, One of a Kind, Arrow, Mr. Thing, Format, and Rob Life. Nice. Great gig, really good gig to end the year up before all this happened. But I can't see myself playing out before the end of the year. So I mean, I'm quite lucky that a lot of the new 45s that come out, I've got, like a family of people that send me all their stuff as soon as it gets released. And I'm quite happy to do videos for that. I will obviously, I need to get some stuff back up on Mixcloud, so maybe I'll start doing my own Fresh Mess show broadcasts again. Maybe try and hopefully if the lockdown lifts a little, I can probably get a full clip show together as it's our anniversary. But I'm just I've got cuts to do for people. Cool. Quietly busy doing the stuff that DJs aren't really known for, a lot of recording work, promo videos, stuff like that. So quietly busy. It's not like I'm panicking that I've got nothing to do. I've got a backlog of shit to work through. But I'm quietly busy. It'd be lovely to get back to playing again, but the way things are, I just can't really see that happening until early next year, maybe. Yeah,
no, definitely. I'm just thankful I've got a radio show, really, to be honest. It's one of those things. It's just a great outlet. And you can, it's one of those sort of options where you can play kind of whatever you want. You're not reliant on reading a room or anything.
You're not restricted by a playlist or people harassing you for requests. So it's always nice to have something like that. Just keep going, because like I said, you can use that as also an informal live practice session.
That's exactly what I do.
To keep your hand in,
because that's exactly, because it just sort of keeps my head in the sort of like mixing frame, because I know if I spend too much time away from it, I'll go to play a live show and my mixes and blends and whatnot are terrible. Like I'm not paying attention at all.
I hear that,
But with a lot of new music that's come out during this lockdown as well, which has been absolutely brilliant. I've actually had time to fully listen.
I don't think we've had a better time for new music, especially within hip hop. Every day there is something fucking dope coming out. So, on the flip side of this lockdown, it's been great for creatives, I think, to, reassess and maybe do things that they've not really had the time to do because they're constantly playing out or they're doing other things. So it's been good for that, real good for that.
Yeah, I found it's been really good, like creativity wise for them as well, because it's a lot of, it's the best time to release something that's not familiar.
Yeah,
because people are kind of a captive audience to the CD or to the whatever release.
Exactly,
you can actually express yourself in different ways. You don't have to stick to, especially when it comes to sort of like a bit more mainstream artists, where they tend to keep a certain sound or a certain formula to their music.
Because they have to, don't they? Yeah. But now, they don't have to do that, and the gloves are off. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
Exactly, and they can actually evolve a little bit, which I think this is what is going to come out of this sort of lockdown on the creative side. A lot of artists will evolve to hopefully, be like where they want to be.
Yeah,
because I know a lot of them
well, fingers crossed. Like I said, I think it's almost like a reset throughout the entire entertainment industry. Maybe not the visual ones, but definitely through music and and art as well, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I've got a couple of questions left for you, and I can let you get on with the rest of your evening, if that's all right.
That's absolutely fine by me.
Awesome. Well, I've got my sort of these are my standard kind of like finishers, if you will. These are the ones that I always ask everyone. So it's what I want to find out are your 3 top albums that have really
hell.
not the ones that have really kind of influenced like made you want to, like you already mentioned one of them earlier with Breaking in Space. The one that made you want to sort of like get on the turntables, the one that sort of got you into hip hop, the one that got you into music generally or anything like that. Those sort of like, if you've got any pinnacle sort of albums that kind of follow in that pattern.
Those three top LPs. Okay, let's think. All right, so first one will be the Drop the Bomb LP by Trouble Funk, because it had Pump Me Up on it, and that was the first record that I started scratching with.
Cool.
And also through having that record, I've had this lifelong love affair with Go-Go, and that's how I got into Go-Go. So definitely Pump Me Up. Number 2, right, albums. Let's think. I would say Public Enemy.
Cool.
Takes a Nation of Millions. No, Yo Bum Rush the Show, actually.
Okay.
When I first heard Public Enemy number 1, fucking hell, that just blew me away. The whole of the production on that LP, including the cuts, the general sound was just loud, raw. There's nothing polished about it. Right, those beats were distorted.
Yep.
It was a real different way of laying drum tracks for hip hop. It was almost like punk. Do you know what I mean? It was a raucous, rowdy album. It had a real serious message to it. And when, I was 16, 17 when I bunked off school for the last lesson, ran up to Our Price, got it in, listened to it, and I listened to it back to back about 3 times. I could not fucking believe it. So definitely that,
Nice.
Bum Rush the Show. Third one, let's think. I would have to say, fucking hell, this is really difficult. You really put me on the spot here. I'm going to have to say Electro 6. Well, I may have got the number wrong, but it's basically the one with Roxanne Shante on it.
Okay.
And it's the mix from that, from Cosmic Blast, which is Captain Rock, to that. I was blown away by that mix. I mean, all of those albums, the mixing was fucking class. Like the earlier ones, right up to like 8. But that for me was probably one of the best mixes I've. I mean, it's just a basic mix, but it just like sonically sounded fucking amazing. Yeah. So that's my 3. Oh,
awesome.
I'll probably change that tomorrow, but
that's all right. That's good
for the purposes. We'll take that. Yeah,
we'll take that right now. That's all good. I'm going to check out a couple. I already know the Public Enemy one, and you're right. It's that like it's a very raw style to it. I do like that kind of like punk. Like obviously Beastie Boys kind of came out the same thing, but that kind of like punk and rap. Like the hybrid that came out of that.
Well, the real killer for that, right, was the track on there, You're Gonna Get Yours, right? Now, I love that track anyway, right? That just makes me want to punch people in the mouth. But when they brought it out on the 12, Rebel Without a Pause, there was a Terminator X Getaway version, right? And it was basically Johnny Juice, not Terminator X, had just took the instrumental and the vocals and scratched all the way through the vocals. That when I first heard that still for me today is the stand-up scratch turntablist track in the world.
Nice.
It fucked me up, right? If I listen to, I will play that every opportunity I get. And I've been speaking to Johnny Juice in the last couple of years on like Facebook and that, and it's to be able to say to him, that track influenced me to this day. Right, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And it was down to that album. And I later found out he'd done all the cuts on the album as well. All of the complicated cuts on the album, it was Johnny Juice. So, and then when I heard Right Starter, I was like, man, I was sitting there thinking, that is not Terminator X doing those cuts. He is dog shit, right? No offence if he's listening. I really hope he fucking isn't. But that wasn't him. Those cuts were nasty. And I've tried to base my whole style of just like, I'm not the cleanest DJ in the world, right? But I am raucous, rowdy, raw. I don't give a fuck. I cut because I want you to hear it, not because I want people to remember it. Yeah. So cool. That definitely for that.
Nice. No, I'm going to check out the other 2 albums because I don't think I've heard those. I'm going to definitely go back. That's why I like asking, because I always like to go back and listen to like the albums that I hadn't heard that have influenced people, just to sort of see where that came from and everything. So
if you like Go-Go, you'll love the Trouble Fund one, because that is the archetypal Go-Go album. It's got Drop the Bomb on there. Cool. Hey Fellas, that was I think it was their first big album as well. But Pump Me Up for me was the one that's still to this day, I just love that fucking tune.
Nice. Well, finally, man, what are your hobbies away from DJing? So when you're not cutting it up and all that kind of stuff, do you have any sort of like other pastimes?
No.
I didn't think so, but
reading. Right, this is going to sound like a right prick. Everyone thinks I'm a right rowdy cunt, but I'm not. It's reading. I fucking love reading. Right, I read all sorts of shit. Always, I was quite late to learning to read and write. I think I was about 8 or 9 before I could read and write properly. So when I finally learned to read, it was just like, a runaway thing, and I've read ever since. And I read at every opportunity. Nice. What else do I do? I really like parties. Like, anyone that knows me will know that.
What sort of books are you reading at the moment? Or if you have...
Zombie books. Yeah, all zombie books. I spent about a year. Yeah, zombie books. I go on Amazon and just look for... Because people just write books now, don't they? Put on Amazon. Yeah. Right, some of these people should not be fucking writing books. Who the fuck told them they're an author? They're dog shit. But, out of every 5... painful books you read, there's one that crops up, you've never heard of the person, ends up being a dope book. I'm all over that kind of shit. Nice. But I mean, I'd like to read. I mean, I've got another book I've started reading about the 1918 Spanish flu epidemic, which is nice and cheery.
Yeah, it's kind of topical. If you
anything that basically ends in the human race just being turned over, I'm definitely fucking game for it.
Nice.
Yeah. So hobbies. Cool. The trainers, buying trainers, coats. That's about it. I'm quite shallow, really.
No, that's all right. I can get behind the zombie books because I'm a fan of zombie books myself. So, like,
I'll tell you what, right? I will look later on when I get a chance. I will look back through all the Amazon dog shit books that I've picked up, and I'll pick the best ones out. Some of them are only a couple of quid, and I race through them in a couple of days. But some of them are real good. I'll send you a list to see what you think.
Yeah, no, let me know because I'm always after stuff to read anyway. I just finished actually the guy who wrote World War Z and the Zombie Survival Guide.
Okay.
He's just released a new book. It's not a zombie book.
I see that the other week. It's about some sort of strange creature or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically like a Bigfoot story.
Okay, yeah.
But it's done in the style of, if you've read World War Z, it's done in the style of that. So it's like accounts of what had happened. It's interviews. It's kind of...
As long as Brad Pitt don't make some fucking film out of it, I'm sure it'd be good.
Yeah. No, I think this book was originally supposed to be a film. Then he bought the rights back from it. So he turned it into a book. But no, I just finished that, and that was good. I enjoyed that. And I've just sort of started on some sort of sci-fi stuff at the moment. So reading the guy who wrote Altered Carbon, which is the Netflix series now.
I think I haven't touched on that yet. Yeah. I do read a lot of science fiction, but I haven't read a lot of science fiction for quite a while.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of books out, and I just picked up one from... I think it was Waterstones actually, but yeah, no, I'm sort of starting on that, and it's kind of like a futuristic sci-fi sort of like cop story, a bit like Blade Runner, I suppose.
Okay, yeah, sounds hench.
But
I've just realised my street cred is absolutely fucked now. Talking about science fiction, it's fucking game over.
You're welcome. No, they all know DJs are nerds and geeks. There's no getting away from it. So.
Yeah, I try not to be, but I am at heart.
Yeah, I think we all... Well, definitely, I can't get away from it.
Yeah.
My day job, I can't get away from it there either, because it's a geeky day job, so... but yeah, but no, that's all I got for you, man. Thank you. It's been absolutely...
Thank you for asking me on. I've really enjoyed doing it.
Not a problem, man. It's been absolutely my pleasure. I absolutely love speaking to you. And the fact that we are local as well, that's the that I've kind of discovered over time. A lot of the places, like you mentioned, like Bracknell and stuff. I mean, I still work in Reading, so that's where my place of work is.
Yeah, okay.
I'm still local to here, but like I say, I got a couple of residencies in Guildford and Woking. So,
well, when things pick up, I'm sure our paths will cross when things are better.
Oh, definitely. I'm going to try and swing by on the old record store day because I missed the day you were performing in store at Dance 2.
Yes,
that was a bit of a gutty one because I got totally stuck. I always go to a couple of record stores, just purely because I'm friends with a bunch of the people that run them. But I didn't make it to Dance 2, the last one. So
Well, next time.
Definitely. Well, man, you have a good rest of your evening. Again,
I will. Thank you.
Thank you very much for doing this.
No problem. Once again, thank you for asking me to do it.
No worries, man. Have a good rest of your evening.
I will do.